Hi guys, and welcome to Escape with Watch Reviews. My name is Steve, and today we're going to be reviewing the Hruodland F023 GMT. I got a reviewer's discount of about 50% off from the Hruodland official store on AliExpress. Although I got a pretty decent discount on this one, you should know the deal by now. It's not going to sway my review one way or the other. You're always going to get my honest review on this channel. And if by the end of this review you want to pick one of these up, I'll be leaving a link in the video description. That is an affiliate link. If you guys use that link, you're not paying any extra. I will just benefit a little bit by earning a small commission on the sale, and that allows me to keep purchasing watches for the channel. So thank you guys so much for the continued support and for continuing to use those links. I really do appreciate it. The current retail price of this watch is about $269 US, and that's before any taxes, VAT, coupons, discounts. Hruodland, they do participate in the sales, so if you are patient, I guess you can get a pretty decent deal on this watch. So yeah, just something to be aware of. The watch is available in this black dial you see here, and also in this whitish, creamish, off-white color. I think the black dial is the way to go. The hands get kind of lost in that white dial, but that is an option for you. They do offer this in sterile dials, and then they also offer dial customization, and then they also offer this one here that you can see with the little symbol down at the bottom. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but there is also that dial option as well. The watch case, bracelet, and clasp are made of 316L stainless steel. It has a sapphire crystal, screw-down crown, screw-down case back, 200 meters of claimed water resistance, and the watch is powered by the Seiko NH34 automatic GMT movement. So I've been waiting a very long time for a case like this. There's been quite a few watches out there that have kind of tried to make this case, and they all come up a little bit short. I'm calling it right now. This is the most faithful 1655 homage on the market, and I think Hruodland has a moneymaker on hand if they can adapt and adopt this case for other designs from this era, I guess. So yeah, there's lots of other options they can do. I'm in talks with them about Project RCW. If you are unaware what Project RCW is, it's a project that I started, kind of kicked it off, didn't quite make the sales numbers that we needed to get it started, but it is a Polar 16570 homage. So yeah, I'm going to be in talks with Hruodland and possibly Watch Dives to get that dial done for this case. So yeah, just something to keep in mind. Stick around to the end. We'll talk about it in a little bit. Well, enough chit-chatting. I say we get right into this full review. But before we do, doing a quick wrist check for the day. I actually had this watch on, but I threw this one on for the review, the Proxima PX 1697. Absolutely love this watch still. Super nice case. It's gorgeous. Go check out the review for that right up here. All right, so let's get into the dimensions. We've got a bezel diameter of 39 millimeters. Got a case thickness of 12.0 millimeters. Got 20 millimeter lug width. Lug to lug is 48.0 millimeters. And sized up for my 7.5 inch wrist with one link removed. It weighs about 130 grams. So I think the size is great. 48 lug to lug and 39 at the bezel. It is a little bit bigger than that. The case is, as you can see, it kind of sort of flares out a little bit, but I mean, it's really close to 39 millimeters. The 12 millimeter thickness is key here. This watch has kind of ruined me for any other watch. Why does anything have to be thicker than 12 millimeters when, you know, Hruodland can make this watch like this? You got nice curve down to the lugs, which is unusual for this style of case. I'm very happy with the way this thing wears. I've been wearing the heck out of this thing. I pretty much since it came in a little bit over a week ago, I haven't taken it off wrist at all. I've gone swimming with it. I've gone to the theme parks with it. I've worn it around the house and into the office. It's been a great watch. And I have really very little to complain about on this thing. I'm going to go outside right now and throw it on my wrist for you. And here we are on my 7.5 inch wrist, and as you can see, it just wears great. It's nice and thin. There's nice turn down to the lugs as well. For this style of case, you don't really see that very often, so it's nice that it's there. But yeah, I am very happy with the way this thing wears. Nice and thin as well. Really just pleased with this. The bracelet is comfortable and balanced. I think it feels good. I think it looks good. And here we are in some direct light, so you can see it is a matte black dial. There is supposedly some AR coating on the crystal. It is very legible no matter what. I don't think there's much AR coating on it, but yeah, I've never had an issue reading it. As you can see, it's still pretty legible. But I just think it looks really good. You got lots of light play off the chamfers around the bezel and the rest of the sides of the case there as well. Overall, very satisfied with this watch. and how it wears. I think it looks good. I think it's going to look even better on some straps, so let's go and do that right now. And here we are on my suede strap that I just love, absolutely love. This will be down in the video description, camel color, for those wondering. Absolutely love this strap on this watch. Just gives it a really cool vintage vibe to it. And here we are on a Barton orange silicone strap. This is just their simple silicone strap, not their elite. And not quite a perfect match, but it is pretty close to that GMT hand, and I just think it's a nice summery feel to it. Really like it though. And here we are on a vintage vario strap. This is a gray colorway, kind of has some cream stitching, so it kind of matches the Fotina, and yeah, I think it looks very good. There's just something about this watch on really strong tapering straps that I just love. And here we are on a crown and buckle chevron single pass strap, so one layer underneath the watch there. I think it looks pretty good. We got that orange accent for the GMT hand there. Yeah, very comfortable. These straps, they always wear funny on me for some reason, but yeah, they're very comfortable. And lastly, we have an army green nylon, ribbed nylon from chinesewatches.com. And yeah, I think it looks really, really good on that. No real surprises. It's kind of a fieldish style watch. So yeah, it's going to look good. 2 layers underneath the watch there, still very comfortable. This is basically what I took this watch on a trip to Universal Studios, and this is what it lived on. So yeah, super comfortable, and I think it looks really good. All right, let's go back inside and let's get back to this review. All right, so let's talk about the case finishing on this. So case finishing is done very nicely. It is a mixture of brushed and polished surfaces. On the bezel here, you have a radial brushing, which is done really nice. Black engraved numerals and markings for the 24 hours. Those are filled with gloss black paint. And then you've got a kind of an angular or circular brushing on the tops of the lugs here. Really nicely done. I actually, I usually don't like this style, but they did it good enough where I actually do like it. I appreciate it. And then getting around to the case sides here, they're a high polished, as are those crown guards. You've got a little bit of a chamfer as well, as you can see there. So it's just done really nicely, nice and sharp transitions as well. Everything is done very, very nicely. The polishing is done excellent as well. I've got no complaints about it. You do have a signed screw down crown here, which nestles nicely into those crown guards. It's a nice small crown, but I mean, it's completely accessible, as you can see there, so no problems with that, and it just kind of just keeps the overall size and the feel of the watch down. So I am very satisfied with the case on this thing. Really, really happy with it. You can see here on the bezel, you've got nice polished chamfer there as well. Yeah, everything is just done very nicely, and I'm happy with it. This bottom edge here, not too sharp at all. On wrist, it's been excellent, very comfortable. Flipping it to the case back here, you can see you've got a polished case back with nothing on it, just a sterile case back, and then that coin edge, which I'm not a fan of. I don't like these case backs. I never will. So I would appreciate if they used, just a typical notches to get a tool on there. But yeah, it is what it is. And again, it's been very comfortable for me. Circular brushing on the bottom of the lugs. Overall, not a huge fan of the case back on this thing, but it's a minor gripe for me. But yeah, overall, very satisfied with the case on it. It's the thickness is the key here, 12 millimeters thick, and that's with a top hat crystal. So yeah, very, very satisfied with the case on this watch. It's great. All right, let's talk about the crystal on this thing. First, we'll test it for sapphire. And we'll test the Cyclops for sapphire. So we do have a sapphire crystal and a sapphire Cyclops, which is a bonus. The Cyclops is done very nicely. It's applied perfectly straight, in my opinion. It's not off center or anything like that. It does a pretty decent job of magnifying. I'd say about 2x magnification. The one thing I'm kind of missing on this crystal is anti-reflective coating. I don't really see any AR coating. I do have it. I do have it in a listing where they say there's anti-reflective coating. If it is, it's clear, which is good. And I've never really been bothered by it, but I don't really think that there's much on there, if there is anything on there. But again, saying that, I've got no issues with legibility for the most part. It is completely fine. The crystal is a top hat crystal, as you can see here, really nicely done too. You got nice distortion on the edges. I love this crystal. I absolutely love this crystal. I don't typically see a crystal with this rounded of an edge with a Cyclops on it. So I was kind of thrown off when I first got here, but I definitely do really like the crystal on this thing. It's a good one. More AR coating is always a bonus, but the amount that they have on there, it's perfectly acceptable, at least for this black dial. All right, so let's talk about the dial on this thing. So the dial is obviously an homage to the 1655 Explorer. This is a matte black dial. It is fully printed, as you can see there. You got faux patina for all the markings on the dial. You've got the big triangle at 12, big batons at 6 and 9 o'clock, a little bit smaller batons for all the other hour markers except 3, and then you've got little tiny squares for all the odd 24-hour markings. So there's a lot going on the dial. It is a bit hard to read the time on this thing. That's really my only complaint with it. But that's just the design and something you have to get used to. The Hruodland dual time zones date adventure, that's a lot of text, a lot of unnecessary text. I think just I think that dual time zones date could be taken out completely and it would look fine. And then right down here you have high specification watch. Why put that there? An orange GMT text would have looked really good there in my opinion. So I'm not really sure why they felt the need to put all that text on there. Again, you can get this dial customized and put whatever you want on the dial. So just keep that in mind. Don't let the text throw you off. It doesn't really bother me. It kind of balances out the dial and fills it nicely in my opinion. But yeah, less is more, I'll say that. So yeah, I would definitely have chosen to put something else on the dial, but that's just me. The handset that they used, really nicely sized. You can see just fence post, white surrounds, and then they're black around the pinion there. Nice big orange GMT hand there as well. All of them are perfectly sized, reaching right out to the minute track. I've got no complaints with it at all. White seconds hand with the lollipop on it. Again, really nicely sized. There's not a whole lot to complain about on this dial. They did a really good job. The lume on this thing, I'm going to pop up a lume shot right now. So the watch is using the old Radium Super Luminova. So the lume is pretty good, but it's about what you would expect for this style of watch. A printed dial with that old Radium lume. It's good, it's just not great. It does last all night long though, and I had no problems reading it at like 4 in the morning when my eyes were adjusted to the dark. So just something to keep in mind. It definitely gets blown away by BGW9 or just straight C3. So yeah, just something to keep in mind. It is good, it's just not great. All right, let's talk about the movement in this thing. So the movement is the Seiko NH34 automatic GMT movement. So it does hack hand wind about 40 hours of power reserve. It's 21,600 beats per hour, so 6 ticks of the second hand every second. It does everything you need it to do. It's a reliable movement. It's going to be reliable. It's based on the Seiko NH36, which has been around for a very long time. So yeah, you unscrew the crown here. It is a 3 o'clock screw down crown with a signed logo there. First position is your hand winding, nice and smooth as you would expect. Second position is your GMT and your date function. So when you roll it back, you get your date changes. And when you roll it forward, you get a jumping GMT hand. Everything functions just perfect. I have zero complaints with that. Pulling it out to the third position is where you set your time. And again, everything functions as it should. Nice solid crown action as well. You push it in, start screwing it in, and it's nice and smooth. No complaints at all. Crown, good grip on that. Even though it's pretty small, you get plenty of grip on it. So yeah, very happy with it. This watch has been running excellent for me. Here's how mine's been running. Really can't complain about that at all. I do believe they are regulating the movement, so that's nice to see. Yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot to complain about with the NH34. It's a great movement. All right, so let's talk about the bracelet on this thing. So the bracelet, like I mentioned earlier, it is a 20 millimeter bracelet, and it tapers down to 16 millimeters at the clasp. It is brushed on the tops of the links there, as you can see there. Really nice brushing as well. Very happy with that. Nice sheen to it. Polished on the sides here. You do have screw pins for adjusting. I removed one link for my 7.5 inch wrist. You have solid end links, and they are female pivot end links. Nicely finished on that first link as well. Everything flows very nicely. No links are hanging on each other. It's not rattly or anything like that. The fitment in this here, it's a little bit loose. You can see there's a small little gap there. It doesn't really translate to rattle on the wrist or anything like that, so it's not that big of a deal. I wish they could kind of close that up a little bit, but yeah, it's not a big deal to me. As long as it doesn't rattle on wrist, I'm fine. The links, they do follow the case curvature pretty much perfectly, and they do stop short of the lug tips there. So that 48 lug to lug is actual 48 lug to lug, even with the bracelet. So this thing should fit a lot of wrists. I am very pleased with the bracelet. Everything has been rounded off nicely. I've got zero complaints with the bracelet itself. Working our way down to the clasp here, you have a simple pressed outer shell, milled inner. Everything works as it should. Nice tight tolerances all over the place. 2 button pushers here. These buttons are a little bit, I don't know, they don't feel the best. I wouldn't call them sharp, but they're not really rounded off as much as they could be. You do have really nice finishing on this with the Hruodland anchor logo though. Brushed on the top, brushed on the sides. Nice polished chamfer here. Kind of goes with the case very nicely. Everything down here has been rounded off nicely. It's very comfortable. You got 6 levels of micro adjust too. There's no on the fly clasp or anything like that, which I would like to see, especially at this price point. But everything that's here functions very nicely, and I was able to get a perfect fit for my 7.5 inch wrist. Yeah, I think overall the bracelet on this thing is very nicely done. So there you go, guys. That is the Hruodland F023, a new release from them, and I've been waiting so long for a watch like this. I'm happy that they did it. I'd like to see the polar dial, which we'll talk about here in just a second. But what you're getting for about $270, it's not a cheap watch from AliExpress, but I think the finishing is excellent. I think the crystal is very nicely done. You're getting a regulated, very reliable movement, and you're getting a case that is executed very well, 12 millimeters thick. That is key. Everything else in this style is, I don't know, it just doesn't seem that thin. I know some watches are that thin, 12 millimeters, but they use a flat crystal, so it just appears thicker. So the fact that they are using a nice slim case with some turn down to the lugs, yeah, I'm very satisfied with this watch, and I've been wearing the heck out of it. I've been wearing this watch more than any other watch over the last 2 weeks, I think. So yeah, I'm very satisfied with it. So again, if you guys are interested in this, I'll be leaving a link down in the video description. Let's talk about Project RCW. So Project RCW is something that me and another guy started, I think about 1.5 years ago, I'd say. Here is what we finally came up with. We were going to work with San Martin. We were going to work with Alpha. In the end, you know, we didn't reach our goal of, I think we needed like 300 purchases, and it just wasn't going to work out the way we wanted it to. But now, that was before the NH34 became available, and that is before this watch case became available. So I think we can kickstart Project RCW again using this case and just a different dial and hands. We will brand it RCW. It will have very minimal text on it. It's going to have, you know, BGW9, and I will be in control of the overall design of it, and I'll try and get it as close as I can to the 16570 proportions. So it'll have the vintage dial, the smaller indices, the smaller, you know, Mercedes hands, and the red GMT hand. So that's kind of what I'm going after. If you guys are interested in something like that, just drop a comment down below. I'm kind of just gauging interest in that for right now. I might just make a one-off for myself. I don't know. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. I'm guessing the price will be roughly the same, $270-ish or something like that. But yeah, it's something that I'm very excited about, especially after having this case. So yeah, let me know what you guys think down in the video description. I think that is about it for me. Thanks a lot for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya.